Yes, thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back. This is episode 20. We've made it. I had a goal to get to 20, and when we got to 20, I'd hang it up and we'd be done. So this will be the final No, I'm kidding. I'm joking. But it is episode 20, and we got a special guest for you. It's definitely a special episode. I wonder if anybody notices I say that every time. We got a special episode for you. I wonder if they pay attention to that. No, I got Bridget with me today. Say hi, Bridget.
Hi.
We'll get back to her in a little bit later, but I'm wanting to do something special, something patriotic. I'm just kind of like that. It's Memorial Day weekend. We're recording this on Saturday, Memorial Day weekend. We're trying to squeeze this in, get it in there, and drop it Saturday night, so that way it's new for Memorial Day weekend, which Memorial Day is just about more than just an extra day off work and grilling out with family or going to the river. Those things are all great. That's the beauty of, living in our country. But sometimes we got to be reminded that we need to take time, myself included, and honor those who have paid the ultimate price. That's kind of what Memorial Day is all about. A lot of people get confused about what Memorial Day really is. So we're going to talk about that a little bit. When I think of Memorial Day, a couple things come to mind. That it's not Veterans Day, where we honor every person who has served in any branch of the military. That's its own day. That's special. That's definitely something we need to remember and honor our veterans. But it's not Veterans Day. It's Memorial Day. Okay. That being said, things changed for me around 1985. Yeah, when I was 4 years old. 1995, things changed. I realized, or I knew all along, I did not have what it takes to join the military, and that I should be grateful for those who do and did. So in high school, I would get super upset if I got behind, a slow car, and it was an elderly person in there, or get behind a, older person in a store somewhere, and I would just be impatient and just a typical high school punk. But then in 1995, 96, I think it was, maybe it was somewhere around there, the film Saving Private Ryan came out, and the first 10 minutes of that movie changed the way I look at older people altogether, people who lived in the greatest generation, those men that were on those beaches or on those boats and stormed the beaches of Normandy, and I just realized, so that would have been in the early 40s, and so in the late 90s when I was in high school, those people could have been 70 years old, and here I was ready to flip the bird to a slow-driving elderly person, and they very well could have been in World War II, and it changed for me. So another thing I think about on Memorial Day is that not everyone who gives their life for their country gets to come home. They deserve a proper burial, their family, they deserve that, and that doesn't always happen. We have prisoners of war, we have missing in action, and how are we reminded of that every year, that not every soldier, every veteran is buried in a cemetery in the United States? We're reminded one way is our local Cedar Falls Scheels. Every year, the best sporting goods store around with the best employees, and if you've noticed, I know I've noticed, they have the best music playing when you go in the store. But if I could give them a tip, I'd say you better get Harrison Butker jerseys on the way, because that you're missing out. That storm is raging right now. So, but Scheels is proud to display the POW MIA missing man table in honor of our missing comrades in arms. And if you don't know about it, it's a display that it's not just the Cedar Falls Scheels. I think it's a lot of them. They set it up. And everything on this display has a meaning. So I'm just going to run through that for you. I'll post a picture right here so you can see it as I'm talking about it. The table is round to show our everlasting concern. The tablecloth is white, symbolizing the purity of their motives when answering the call to serve. The single red rose reminds us of the lives of these Americans and the loved ones and friends who keep the faith awaiting answers. The yellow ribbon symbolizes our continued uncertainty, hope for their return, and determination to account for them. A slice of lemon reminds us of their bitter fate, captured or missing in a foreign land. A pinch of salt symbolizes the tears of our missing and their families. The lighted candle reflects our hope for their return. The bound text is a book of faith to represent the strength gained through devotion to sustain those lost from our country. That's the Bible. The glasses are inverted to symbolize their inability to share a toast. And the chair is empty. They are missing. I see that every year, and it just reminds me that, not just Memorial Day is to honor those who served and gave their lives for our military, but that not everyone makes it home. And life still goes on for the rest of us. And it's a way to honor them. And the Bible speaks about sharing each other's burdens and, take a minute and understand that. And, we need to teach our kids what the holidays are about and what these symbols mean and stuff like that. And it's important. So I hope that puts things in perspective as we head into this holiday weekend. And I need that reminder just as much as anyone else, even with all its imperfections. This is still the greatest country on the planet. People have given their lives so we could remain a free country. Yet you have people chanting "Death to America" right now. And I don't pretend to know everything, but I was taught to know what I believe and why I believe it. If we all put effort into knowing why we support the positions we have, I think some of that stuff would just go away. I honestly think there are people in our country who hate our country, and they're not even 100% sure why. Let's watch this video. I came across this video to see, let's just see if there are people who are just being influenced by trends or whatever it may be, and they're just kind of jumping on the trendy position, and they're not even sure why they support what they support. And then we'll kind of get Bridget's take on it, because a lot of the stuff that I see is more college-age kids who just, I don't think they know why they're supporting what they're supporting. So let's watch this video right here.
To be fair, a lot of the kids marching in parades calling for another Holocaust or wiping out Israel aren't so much pro-terrorist as they are just dumb. Well, or maybe it's a little bit of both. Mikey Greenblatt turned the tables on Hamas supporters by actually telling them what Hamas supports. Take a listen.
A quick petition to help Hamas free Palestine. You're all in? All right. Oh yeah, you're in? Easily. I just have to read terms and conditions just so you know what you're signing. Okay. By supporting Hamas freeing Palestine, you agree to the following. You agree that every Jew, Christian, and non-Muslim in the world must be slaughtered. I don't know about that one. You endorse making homosexuality punishable by jail or death.
And Mikey is with us now. Was that the general response of everybody? Hey, yeah, nice work. Everybody sort of was surprised?
Yeah, everyone was on board once they heard the buzzwords. And then once I flipped to the terms and agreements, they're like, yeah, I actually don't think I agree with that, believe it or not.
Huh. Let me ask you this. What is going on here? And you don't have to be a genius to even have a sort of cursory understanding that Hamas killed 1,400 Jews. And I understand the talking point that it's about trying to free Palestine and all the other talking points. But is there something about the human condition where people feel like they just want to be part of this? They're so interested in being part of a movement or diversity or equity or inclusion that they are willing to support a terrorist organization?
Yeah. I mean, it's a trend. It's what it is. It's. I don't think they understand that they're supporting a terrorist organization, right? They're just jumping on the bandwagon. They're jumping on the trend. And, the purpose of this video was kind of to hold a mirror to these people and say, okay, but what is it? Let's dig a little deeper. What is this trend that you're jumping on? What does it mean?
Yeah, I have to give you a lot of credit because there's so many people now who are going up and arguing with folks and trying to have an argument with them, and you found this sort of brilliant way to expose really what's going on. And to your point, 48% of Americans 18 to 24 support Hamas in the war with Israel, which is pretty stunning. But this is maybe a little bit of a twist on this, right? Young Americans uneducated on the Holocaust. 63% of young Americans unaware that 6 million Jews were killed in the Holocaust. 23% said the Holocaust was a myth or exaggerated. 11% Jews caused the Holocaust. That was from 2020. So you could think now that those numbers have gotten even worse with the amount of anti-Semitism and propaganda that is out there. Can you turn this around?
There's so much false news and propaganda on the internet now, more than ever. I mean, you even have AI generated videos. And so I think it's just so important to get out there, go beyond the internet, and to show people in real life what these things are, and have these open dialogues with them. That's the only way to do it. Because you could have all these conversations. I could Google, the sun, the earth is flat. And again, I don't know your viewership, so I don't want to, poke at anyone. But I could Google the earth is flat and find a source that agrees with me,
Yeah,
so,
well, I'm going to give our viewers enough credit to know the earth isn't flat and know the difference between right and wrong. But
right.
Great job educating folks. Thanks, Mikey.
Yeah. Okay. So you have this New York-based comedian, Mikey Greenblatt. He goes out and does these. I'm a big fan of man on the street interviews. I really am. And I guess that wasn't really college age kids. That could have been anybody. But I'd seen other videos where, people went to some of the riots on campuses and the occupations on campuses and they stick a microphone in some of these kids' faces and they're just like, oh, we're supporting this. We're free Palestine and this and that, and the reporter just kept asking why, and the one video a girl goes, yeah, I'm not sure why. Does anybody know why? Why? And it's just like, my goodness, just know why you believe what you believe, and it's very dangerous when we don't do that. When you really don't, you just jump on what other people say. And I'm not saying Israel's hands are clean, they're perfect, anything like that. But I know what happened on October 7th, and I know they have a right to defend themselves, and they can't do that as long as Hamas is breathing. So that's crazy for me to see people in America supporting what Hamas did. But we have one of those college-age kids on the podcast today, and I got to thinking when I said Bridget, we're in that kind of that middle area now where the podcast isn't just 20 people listening anymore. We're in that hundreds level. Well, there's probably people when I say Bridget, they're like, well, who's this Bridget? Who there might be a handful of people who don't know us. They're new to the podcast, whatever. So I guess I better introduce. Bridget is actually my firstborn, my oldest daughter. So and I had her on today for a couple different reasons, but we're going to start right here. So some of this stuff that's just dominating the news, we know it can be overhyped and all that stuff, but some of the stuff we do see, is really happening. I wanted to ask you, you're going to, the local bigger college, University of Northern Iowa. Have you seen any of these same sentiments on campus when it comes to the whole Israel-Palestine type stuff?
Not really, honestly. There weren't any crazy protests, and I didn't hear much from other students my age. I'm sure there were plenty of people on both sides of that argument, but it was actually kind of interesting when the whole thing happened on October 7th. One of my professors at the time, she actually had a close friend who lived or lives in Tel Aviv. And so the friend would kind of update us, and the professor would update us each class period that we had just about the horrible things that were happening over there what her friend's experience was and her family. And yeah, my professor asked her, are you okay? Is there absolutely anything I can do to help you? And she said, no, we're not okay, but there's nothing you can do to help.
Right.
So it was, difficult to hear that. But the professor, she was great. She wasn't trying to do it to sway anything or make it political. She was just sharing what her friend who's going through it was telling her because she wanted us to be informed.
Right. Yeah, that was... The footage we saw that day was absolutely awful, and I'm still not 100% sure I understand it. The way it was a quick, it wasn't even a military attack. They weren't trying to take over any. They came in, they murdered, they raped, they did these horrible things. They filmed it all, and then they took hostages and they ran out. I don't quite knowing Israel, the way they're set up, they're the IDF, the Israeli Defense Force, every able-bodied young man has to serve for a certain period of time, and they were going to come in full force and And Hamas just does so many evil things. I mean, things under civilian areas, tunnels, and they just use innocent civilians as human shields, and it's just that's a whole nother thing we can get into. But what about other things on campus? Have you experienced? Oh, I know you have, but I'm just going to give you a chance to talk about any of those things. Have you experienced any, just major shows of ignorance on campus of people supporting things or promoting things, and you're just, we all can have different worldviews and think different things, but have you seen overwhelmingly ignorant displays?
I wouldn't say so. Like I said, my experience at UNI has been pretty good in terms of like politics and things like that. But I did take one class last semester, and it was just one that we have to take for like gen eds, or what UNI's gen eds are, and it was pretty easy. It was like a discussion based class, and so we would kind of cover a topic and then talk the rest of the class period. And there was one girl in there, and she just always had something to say, and it was always just so dumb. I don't want to
like divisive, or just not like just her opinion itself you didn't agree with.
Yes, the opinion just wasn't, I don't know. Like one example, I guess her mom is a teacher somewhere, and it was what was it? When the Iowa legislature said that we needed to start saying the Pledge of Allegiance in public schools every day, she said that her mom and some other teachers were upset about this and just thought it was so unfair. So to kind of fight back against it, they were going to have it be done during breakfast. So it was still technically the school day somehow, which I don't really get. But
not everybody's there at breakfast.
And hardly anyone is there. So I don't know. To me, that was just weird, because what is so bad about saying the pledge? And if students there really don't want to do it, then they can not do it. That's their right. I get it. But why are you just taking away that for everyone else because you, as a teacher, don't agree with it? Yeah. That's not right. But yeah, then another experience I had last year, it wasn't with any students or professors, but people are allowed during a certain time of the year to come and, I don't know, just advocate for certain things and hold up banners and whatever. And so there was these two grown men, and they were holding signs that said, if you do this, like if you get drunk or have sex or whatever before marriage, you're going to hell. And it was all of these sins listed, followed by you're going to hell. And so of course I saw that, and this was after like a night class that I had once a week or whatever. So I was tired and wanted to go home, but I went over there because I was so confused as to where they were getting this information from. But then next to me, there was this group of people, and they were waving like LGBTQ flags and yelling at those people. So it was all just weird. But I was trying to just talk to the girl who is kind of the ringleader of the people with the flags, and tell her that like what these two guys were saying is not what the Bible says. And then one of the guys cuts me off and starts talking to me, and I just regret that so much, because I should have just walked away and asked that girl if she wanted to come talk, and I could tell her what the Bible actually said. So I still think about that so often, and I just pray that maybe I could meet her again one day and we could have a good talk, because I don't know, I kind of just, it would have been such a good opportunity to witness to someone, I think, but I was just, it was irritating. But yeah, so that was kind of strange, because that's hard when people are claiming to be Christians but then saying things that go against the Bible, and then they lead people away, and that's really hard.
Yeah, that is just not the right way to try and share the truth about the gospel, or, I mean, telling people they're going to go to hell. Like, that's not something you lead with. If you're going to lead with that, throw yourself in the mix, because the Bible says we are all sinful. We've all fallen short. Don't condemn other people. let the Lord bring that conviction on their heart. You show them the side of Jesus that wants to forgive people, that wants people to turn from their sin. But, we don't go the opposite direction, just say everybody's okay, every sin is okay. That's not the gospel either. But yeah, when people do that, that's just not. And I've heard pastors start sermons before by apologizing to people if they've had bad run-ins at church before, or like in situations you're talking about, and they're like, that have turned you off of even trying to come to a relationship with God through Jesus. Like, they just apologize right away, and they're like, I'm going to do my best to share the truth with you today, and I apologize for any of those kinds of situations in the past, because there is truth out there, and telling people, hey, they're going to go to hell because of this, like that's while it may be somewhat true, it's true for every single one of us. Apart from Christ, we're all hopeless. So you don't lead with that. You show them the kind of love. You show them you tell them about what Jesus did, why he did it, why we should be thankful, things like that. You don't lead by telling people, repent of your sin, or else. That's not it. But yeah, I remember you telling me about that. You came home pretty upset about that, and as far as I can remember, that's about one of your only bad experiences on campus. So
yeah,
that's not bad for a couple of years now. That's one bad run-in. That's not too bad. But okay, and then I want to ask you, just so people think we're not just cherry picking topics and things. As a young person, what, 20?
Yes,
20?
Dad.
Any time of the year. Remember, I got to think about who's had a birthday, who hasn't, what age, all that stuff. As a 20-year-old college student, what is your view on our country? And that's just an open question. So you can go any route you want. And I'm just not even going to add my opinion in the beginning. Go ahead.
Obviously, I'm very grateful to have been born here, and that both of my parents were born here, because I know other countries are just crazy and you don't have the freedoms that we do, which I just have some mixed feelings now recently, because it feels like some of our freedoms are trying to be taken away, kind of like what Rad talked about on the last episode, the whole thing with basically the New Testament. Like, it's like they're trying to make that illegal.
Oh, the hate speech thing?
Yes,
yeah,
yes.
The House bill?
Yes. And saying that was anti-Semitic, and yeah. So that, I don't know. And obviously that's not like a set thing. It hasn't been passed or, yet, but hopefully it doesn't. But, yeah, I don't know. After COVID and the Black Lives Matter situation, I remember talking to you one day when that was all going down, and I remember telling you I felt sad for our country. And I never felt like that before. And I was only like 16, so I haven't, I'm only 20. I haven't seen a whole lot. But I just felt so weird, because I didn't understand how we could get to a point where we were so divided.
Yeah.
And that's something I think our country is still experiencing, is division. And now it's kind of with the Israel and Palestine thing. And so, yeah, I'm glad to have been born here. I'm proud to have lived here forever. I wouldn't want to live anywhere else, but we've got some issues, just like other countries do.
Yep.
So it's kind of hard to, I don't know.
Oh, I get it.
It's tricky.
I get it. A lot of people lately have been trying to, like, I try and remind people, like, I don't think it's as bad as they're making it out to be. I think a lot of this stuff has been intentional to divide us. I've studied Marxism a lot, and Karl Marx, the person, and communism, and like that's the main goal, is divide people into two different groups by whatever dividing line it is, class, race, whatever, and pit them against each other. And so there's been people, I'm trying to show people, like, no, we have moved so far in the right direction when it comes to race since the 60s. Like, don't buy into this stuff. Don't buy into this, if you're a minority, you're a victim, and if you're not a minority, you're an oppressor. Like, no, that's bad stuff. Don't buy into that. If you are racist, you have a problem. I'm not going to shy away from that. But just because you were born white doesn't mean you're an oppressor. We all are born into either better or worse situations. I'm not stupid. I understand that. I can admit that, but that doesn't mean we're all oppressors or oppressed. And there's people I've seen, people I follow, or different things I've seen in the media that they'll show video clips from the last, from 20 years ago, from 30 years ago, from 40, just, like at sporting events or just random different things. And you see tons of people together showing patriotic values, blacks, whites, Mexicans, it doesn't matter. And it's just like, they'd have us think today, like Biden, I'm not to be political or anybody, because I don't care, whoever the president is, if you do wrong, I'll throw fire at you. I don't care what side of the aisle you sit on. Biden gave a commencement speech at Morehouse College, which is a historically black college. The worst speech I've ever heard. It was so divisive. He basically told these graduating kids that are mostly black, like this country hates you. The people in power, the white people in power, they don't want you in the future of this country. And I'm just like, this is the worst thing for the president for anybody to say, regardless. If you're listening to this and you haven't seen that, I'd advise you just take a minute and listen to that. That is not something I support. That's not something I can get behind. Good grief. Now I'm getting kind of ticked off just thinking about it. It was horrible. But no, we are not. It's just funny when you look back. There's been plenty of moments where none of this stuff was really simmering at the surface. And I think I saw clips of after like 9/11 at sporting events. And I mean, you saw every mix of every race waving the American flag. And now all of a sudden, in the last, it kind of goes back to like the whole Kaepernick thing. It's kind of, and BLM was around and stuff. And it just, it's tearing us apart. And it does not have to be that way. I really don't.
Well, and I think like the media is really what's done that.
Oh, sure.
Because they can take such a small issue and blow it up into this huge thing. And that's really what I think has happened in recent years. And yeah, that's frustrating. And then you have people who are ignorant and don't want to look into it further. And they kind of just blindly follow whatever's popular or whatever, certain news sources spit out. And then you have people like in that video we watched, and they don't even know what they're supporting or why they're supporting it. And just get educated a little bit. Educate yourself, make sure, and listen to dissenting viewpoints. I have to force myself to do that as well. You never want to get to a point where everyone around you agrees with you. You all think the same. You want to talk about progress. That's the kind of progressive stuff I can actually get behind. That is that's how you grow. Dissenting opinions. That's actually like. Somebody explained it to me the other day. They said, science itself, when everyone was throwing around that phrase, trust the science, science is never settled. Like science, it's always about hypothesis and evaluation, and you don't go into it like knowing the end result. You let it take you to the end result kind of thing. And like, you have to always challenge ideas, and that's just that's a good thing. Always has been. So. Okay, we're going to shift gears a little bit. I'd like to get a little bit lighter, but this, I don't know, it's when I think about childhood and things like that, it's kind of a light, warm, fuzzy feeling, but I know this is going to get kind of dark in a hurry, but it's something worthy of talking about. You grew up when Disney was still producing, pretty decent kids programs that weren't trying to inject harmful ideas into kids' minds like today. I hate to say that. I really do, because the Disney when I was a kid, it seemed like everything was all the classics, But even when you were a kid, it was just starting to happen where I saw stuff that like, okay, this, I don't really agree with this. And then now it's to the point where I'm like, why are they even if I don't agree with it, why are you putting it in kids' programming or kids' why is Disney doing this? It's intentional. They want to normalize some of these things that maybe everyone doesn't agree with. But when I think about Disney and how they've just lost so much money lately, especially on like their last 6 movies and all that stuff, now this documentary has come out called Quiet on Set, and that was based on Nickelodeon.
And it was after my time. You know, my time was late 80s, early 90s. I mean, I had some classic Nickelodeon shows. I mean, I can remember like Salute Your Shorts. For anybody my age out there, I mean, you remember Nickelodeon in the summer. Man, Salute Your Shorts, What Would You Do, Double Dare, all these kinds of cool shows and things like that. But this Quiet on Set documentary was kind of the period after that. This guy, Dan Schneider, moves in as like one of the main content creators, you know, producers, directors, whatever. And it was all those popular shows, like I'm guessing it would be from like late 90s to like late 2000s or whatever.
Yeah.
So shows like All That, you know, Drake and Josh, Keenan and Kel, like that kind of, the Amanda Show, stuff like that. Let me see here. Yeah, this Dan Schneider, he was putting all this stuff out. He was kind of like the main guy, and I didn't watch any of it because, you know, it wasn't on in our house. It was kind of in between that time where me and Sarah were older, but didn't have kids or whatever. But this dude was like kind of a pervert. And there was a couple other guys too that I think actually got charged. And this Quiet on Set documentary, they interviewed, some people didn't even want to be in it, so they declined. But some of the writers that did said, oh yeah, he was putting stuff in there that we did not, we knew it was gross. We knew the stuff behind it. And so I guess I was just going to ask you, you know, did you hear about this documentary? And I was just thinking, what is up with some of this stuff? How did some of the people at Nickelodeon know and kind of object to his behavior and what he wanted to put in the show? And no one like stood up and did anything. Even some of the kids, the stars, some of their parents knew about some of this stuff, and it was, no one stood up to this guy. Yeah. And he's not an intimidating guy. You know what I mean? If I saw that guy and my kid was like, I hate to think what I'd do to him. I know what Red would do to him. Red already said, you know, it's like, yeah.
He's a good dad for that.
Right. I mean, this was like some of these things. I mean, I don't even want to get into them, but like Drake and Josh, Drake Bell actually like has come out. He's like, this is way more serious. Like I was actually molested, he said. And if the audience doesn't know what I'm talking about, just Google Quiet on Set, look for clips. I'm not even going to show them. I didn't have the time to pull them all, but look for clips. I think the Matt Walsh Show did some good ones. There'll be clips from All That, from the Amanda Show, and just a couple of them here are like, I think it was Ariana Grande, who was the one with the real high squeaky voice. Yeah, that was okay. Good. They had different skits or whatever where she was trying to squeeze a potato to see if juice would come out of it or milk would come out of it. I think and so I'm at work listening to the podcast, and he's playing these clips. So I'm not seeing what she's doing, so maybe that made it better. But let me tell you, the audio of it, the way she was like moaning and stuff, and you could and I was just like, and she just kept saying, you know, just, you could tell there was a sexual innuendo in there. So
were you listening to like, because that was on Victorious.
Okay.
And so they did tags like that at the end of every show or episode, and it was like taken from a part of the actual episode at some point. Okay. Or at least most of them were, and they threw that in. Is that what you're talking about? Or do you not know?
Oh, I don't know. Okay. What I was listening to was just other commentators who were trying to bring light to this Quiet on Set documentary. They were showing clips on their podcast. Yeah. So I don't know when exactly it was taken, but when they were playing them and I listened, I'm like, ooh, that sounds a little inappropriate for a kid's show. I mean, it's inappropriate, period, if that's the innuendo behind the joke. And there was another one, you know, the pickle guy or something like that. It was just weird. This guy had this fetish about pickles, and then when these girls would eat the pickles, it just, you know, maybe you're reading a little bit into it, but now that you kind of know they were perverted, like there was a reason he wanted them to do that. And then there was another one, I think it was with Ariana Grande again, drinking water upside down. Again, I didn't watch it. I heard it, and I can imagine what it looked like as she's upside down trying to drink water, and it just... How did nobody step up and say anything and get this guy out of here? Why is it just coming to light now? It's disturbing. So I encourage the audience, go look this stuff up, and you can judge for yourselves. I imagine everyone's heard of the documentary. I can't remember what it's on, but we don't have it. So
I think like HBO Max or something maybe.
Yeah, it's probably one of those popular streaming apps that we don't have.
Yeah.
So everyone else can watch it, and then you can tell me what you think. Maybe I'm full of crap. Maybe it's not as bad. Maybe this is a hit piece on Dan Schneider, but they talked about Dan Schneider and a couple other people at Nickelodeon, and a couple of them actually were found guilty of molesting kids and different things. So it comes back to, I mean, you got to protect your kids. It's unbelievable, some of this stuff that no one stood up to, because a lot of the two writers, there were two female writers that said, here's what he would do. He would, I think this was back in the instant messaging days or whatever. He'd send, they'd be working and he'd send instant messages and just demand that they yell out some dirty word in the office. And if they wouldn't do it, he'd just do it again. And then he'd do, bold, all caps, 48 size font, and until you had to do it. And it was just, the dude was a freaking pervert, and he was in charge of most of the kids' content on Nickelodeon. And I'm just, I'm reminded of what Jesus said, don't harm the kids. You're going to wish you were never born. So, so the goal for me, or the goal, I would think for most parents, is just to raise kids without them, being perverted by any person, since we were just talking about that, or any ideology, have any perverse ideas, infiltrate their mind, so that they can grow up and enjoy life as an adult, without a bunch of trauma, and so they can have a family of their own someday. And you and Ryan are getting close to that phase in life, aren't you?
6 weeks from today, Ryan's older brother got married today.
Oh, that's right. Congrats, yes. Austin and Mariah.
Yes.
I heard it was a very nice, simple lakeside cabin, ceremony.
Yep,
Man.
It was great. It was great. So happy for them.
Good for them. Yeah. Oh, man. Every time I think of Austin, I think of this one football game up at East Buchanan. It was seriously the best game I've ever seen in my life. The top 3 high school football games ever. It was incredible. But anyway, yeah, you guys are getting close to that phase in life, right? You're engaged. The wedding's quickly approaching. 4th of July weekend. I believe the whole country's going to celebrate that Thursday and shoot off fireworks and stuff.
Yeah, just for us.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. So let me just ask you, how are the plans coming, and how are you guys holding up?
Okay. Well, I thought at the beginning of all this that the hard part was going to be at the very beginning and getting all the vendors taken care of. So venue, photographer, caterer, videographer, all these DJ, all these big things, because that's a lot of communication with someone else, which I don't mind, but you have to rely on them to get back to you, and you have to, pay what they're charging. Yep. Not that you have the freedom to look at wherever, and you can find a lot of different options, but when it comes down to it, you still have to pay whatever they want and do it on their time, all this stuff. So I thought that was the hard part. And now that that's all been over, I'm realizing that there's so many little tiny detail things, and that is so much worse. Yeah. Because it's just a cake topper. I have to be sure to buy a cake topper and a guest book, and which pictures we're going to have out, on the table when you walk in, and all these things that are just so small, but there's so much of them. So I'm glad that now that I'm out of school, it's a little bit easier, because when you're doing finals and end of the year stuff, it's kind of too much to do at once. But now that that's done, I can focus a lot more of my attention on that. But it's kind of, I try not to look at how many days until the wedding are left, because it stresses me out. So, because I don't like there being a time limit right there. But I procrastinated every assignment I've ever done, just about, and I've done fine. So,
see, that's
so
where
I'll
you
be
and
good.
me are. Everyone says, "Oh, we're so alike," and this and that. But
okay, we are.
I disagree on that part. I am not a procrastinator.
Yeah,
I can't handle that. Knowing I have to have something has to be done. Well, I can't not get it done. I have to get it done first.
Dad, I always get it done though. But
I know.
But okay, in my head though, if I want to do something with friends, or if they invite me somewhere, I'm gonna do that because I can do the homework later.
Oh, well, that's the difference. I don't have friends.
Oh.
So I'm never put in that position. When I have something to do, or mom wants me to do something, it's number one on my plate, I do it. That's it.
Yeah.
So But no, anyway, the wedding stuff, right? it's not, and I know you guys are in an interesting situation that me and Mom can't relate to about the venue and the guests and all that. And like me and Mom really are, struggle to help you guys through that because you have limited occupancy and you need people to RSVP. So if you're listening to this Memorial Day weekend and you haven't RSVP'd, please, for the love of Pete,
yes, please.
RSVP, because it is a situation. It's not like what Austin and Mariah did. It's not what me and Sarah did, where it's at the old FBC and you invite everyone who comes. If it's standing room only. No, when you do a venue, it's different. You guys are kind of under the gun to figure out who's all coming, who's not. You really didn't want to offend people by not inviting them to one or the other or both, and it's just it's a hard situation, and it's the reason I wanted to ask you, how is the wedding plans going because I imagine most girls grow up thinking, this is going to be like the best thing ever, the best, and it's important, it's very important, but it's not all sunshine and rainbows. It's difficult, it's hard.
Yeah. And don't get me wrong, I've enjoyed the process, I have, but yeah, it's difficult to deal with some of that stuff that I didn't expect, and especially when there's people like from our families and they have input on things, and it's at the end of the day it shouldn't matter. I know the wedding is to celebrate me and Ryan and our marriage, and so no one else should really have too much of an opinion,
right.
But they do, everyone does. So
yep, we all do. We're all guilty of that. It's good to put it in perspective at some point,
but it gives me a new respect, an even greater respect for people who plan their own wedding, because I had no idea, obviously, the amount of work and patience that it takes. So yeah, talking to I don't have any friends who are married, but like family members and Ryan's family members who have been married, I've told them like, wow, you did a great job. I understand how stressful that whole engagement was, and then the day of, you kind of have things to worry about, but I know once the day gets here and everything's settled, it'll be good and I'll be able to just relax. But yeah, wouldn't ever want to plan my own wedding ever again. So
well, hopefully you don't get a second chance.
I hope not either.
The main thing I've tried to share with you is that when it's all said and done and everybody's gone home and the wedding is over, it's going to be you two that are left. That's it. None of this stuff. It doesn't matter who came to the reception, who came to the wedding. It doesn't matter what goes wrong that day. It's a done deal. Two have become one before God. It's going to be you two left, and you guys got to figure out how to make it work. And no human being has the guaranteed magic recipe, but God does. God does. And I kind of, I just promise you, if God is at the center of both of your expectations for your marriage, then you can get through anything. A lot of people just try, that's what you do. You fall in love, you get married, and, hopefully it lasts the whole time. Well, hope's only going to get you so far. I mean, it is hard work, but the Bible gives the best advice on how to do it, how the man's supposed to lead, how the woman's supposed to come along, and it's a beautiful thing when it's done right. And don't look to me and Mom, because we struggle, but that's that. So, all right, who wants to lighten things up a bit? We don't have a live studio audience, so there's not much there, but there we go. JJ over there. Okay, the moment you've all been waiting for. I promised on this episode, we started off patriotic, then we kind of got into some stuff about kids programming, and then we got into the wedding, and now we're going to get to the part that you probably all got sucked into listening to this episode for, which is embarrassing videos. Who doesn't love a good embarrassing video? Like America's Funniest Home Videos back in the day, Bob Saget, that was all good stuff. And remember what I always say is laughter is good medicine. And so I wanted to share a few videos just to fill up the space. We're only at like 41 minutes here, so I knew this would be a good place to get this stuff put in. Some of these videos you may have heard about. Some of you have seen them, but some of you haven't. Most of you probably haven't. And they are for sure to get you laughing. Okay, one of them is kind of a legendary moment in Dunkerton Homecoming history. Yes, I'm talking about the 1998, the good old days. the 1998 Dunkerton Homecoming skit that me and Josh Corwin did, our only direction we got, I mean, this was fully our own thinking, but the only direction we got was our coach said, I don't want to give a speech. You guys do it and make it memorable. And that we did. So I'm going to play this video for you guys. It's poor quality because it was 1998, but I want you to enjoy the skit from Dunkerton Homecoming 98. Yeah. Do you know what would happen to my back if I tried to do that now? Like,
I don't think you'd get up.
no, I probably wouldn't. I wouldn't. But man, but we must have inspired everyone because we beat the crap out of Guttenberg that night. And Lance, my brother-in-law, your uncle, broke 3 single game records that game, and I wasn't even playing. His main blocking back wasn't even blocking for him, and he broke the rushing record. Imagine what he would have done. Who are we kidding? I probably would have made it worse. I wouldn't have done anything good. But yeah, heck of a game. These next videos, Bridget, you are very familiar with because you filmed them. Yeah, I'm talking about those post-wisdom teeth removal videos from 4 years ago. I know. So it was like October 2020, right? It was. Yeah, it was.
That sounds right.
I did the math. To the audience, don't wait until your late 30s to get your wisdom teeth removed. Okay, just don't. I wasn't going to the dentist a lot when I was younger. So by the time I started going regularly, I think I was in my mid-20s, and he just said, "Hey, if they're not bothering you, we're gonna leave them be." Well, by the time I got to my late 30s, they were like, "Yeah, you better go get those things out of there." They were nasty. They were in there sideways. One of the roots was like fish hook shaped, and they're like, "Ooh, yeah, that's ugly." And B, my second bit of advice: absolutely take someone with you who will ignore that sign in the recovery room and record it anyway. Like these are the moments, right? These are the moments you live for. Like this footage you're about to see. It's incredible. They say a drunk man's actions are a sober man's thoughts, right?
Yeah.
A drunk man's actions are a sober man's thoughts. Well, I wasn't drunk, and other than high school and just a little bit at one point in my life, like I've stayed away from alcohol. I haven't been drunk for the longest time. Alcohol is just not a good thing for me. So when you put me under and I come back out of it like that, for some reason, I was loopy. I mean, I was feeling really good, very, very chatty. So what I was saying must have been the truth. So I go with that whole drunk man's actions are sober man's thoughts. So here you go, guys. Enjoy at my expense.
Good place to work. Good.
How do you feel, Dad?
I think good.
I feel good. I don't drink anymore, but I feel very good.
You don't drink anymore?
No, I don't drink anymore, but I feel so good right now. I didn't even know what they were doing. I remember putting stuff in my mouth, and my legs were shaking. I was like, come on, stop shaking. You've been through worse than this.
Were you nervous then?
I was like nervous, but come on, I've had neck surgery. It was just, jeez. They didn't even tell me to count or anything. They just started shoving stuff in my mouth. And I started waking up.
Well, it didn't take very long.
Because they're good at what they do.
That's nice of you to say.
Oh, they're awesome here. There's good sleep. could sleep and I love everybody.
You love everybody?
I do.
That's good.
God loves everybody, I just want to tell everybody,
That's good.
don't need to be so mean to each other. God loves everybody, just everybody, just love God, love your neighbor, and the world will be fine.
You're right.
Hey Bridget, do you know what pharmacy you guys want to use today?
Probably Scott Pharmacy.
In Fayette?
Old one, I think.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think the Scott Pharmacy moved from Old to Fayette, maybe.
Okay, then.
But Fayette's where I hunt deer.
I know.
I'm a deer hunter.
Are you gonna tell everyone that?
If they can see it, it's some of guys or more.
All I have for old wine is the hospital pharmacy and Hy-Vee.
Okay.
That's
maybe
just
they-
Scott's and
Is that by Illinois? Okay.
Yep.
Scott's and Fayette, and they'll deliver it right to me.
Okay.
If they can see the big buck on the wall. I only took 20 years, but I got a big buck.
Are you guys
I
going to be able
know.
to stop at Scott Pharmacy on the way home?
They usually
Those-
deliver to
I
us,
know,
but
but this is
we
the numbness
can.
will wear off before
Yes.
they probably be
Yeah,
able
we
to
can.
deliver.
I can do that.
Okay, I'll just call and let them know you guys are going to
And
Okay.
like in the hunting, I don't even want to hunt anymore. I have fun hunting with my daughter. My
Who's your
family.
daughter?
My daughter Bridget. It's just,
What's she like?
you get in the woods and it's quiet. You just enjoy nature and the world.
Mm-hmm.
You get away from the world. Just enjoy the time and quiet, because that's what's important. Spending time with family.
Yes.
Love God, love your neighbor. Oh, they must have done a good job.
Yes, they did.
I'm so lucky. I'm so blessed.
Yes.
Oh, good wife, good family. And they love me. I love them.
Mm-hmm.
I good church.
Yeah.
We can turn this country around. Just love God and love people.
Yep. Simple, isn't it?
It is simple.
Jello's for kids. I like Greek yogurt. Greek yogurt has less sugar, way more protein. Jello's for kids.
Do you want to sing your song again?
It's not my song, it's the Jello song, the commercial from like the 80s and the 90s.
I don't know.
Jello. It was Bill Cosby, who's now in jail for drugging women. He was always, "You've got to have a Jello pudding pop." So, oh, we got another Amish guy. But the two Amish girls that were sitting in there, Amish guy and Amish girl, they were like, "Hey, he's not wearing his hat or his coat. Because that beard, he's got to be Amish." That's right, call me Abraham.
Call me Abraham.
But it's family tradition, holidays, Thanksgiving, Christmas, hunting. You grow it out once a year. And this is what I get, this beautiful, pathetic beard. Come on, people, take your stuff. Get out.
Be nice, Dad. What happened to show love to people?
Well, love people, but when my mouth is hurting, I want my turn.
Well, maybe they're hurting too.
They're driving a nice new Jeep Cherokee 4-wheel drive. They ain't hurting for money.
No, not for money, for pain.
It doesn't get any better than that. Yeah, there's probably some people in high school who are like, I remember that Bubba. I remember that guy. Like, yeah, that's probably what I sounded like if I was drunk. Not my finer moments, but
it was funny. It was interesting for me to see
you
you like that.
You little rule breaker. And here that was October 2020, because I remember like you weren't supposed to come in. They said if you were coming in for surgery, you were supposed to, and I had to give him this whole spiel. I was like, I've got a 16-year-old daughter.
Yeah.
She is not going to sit out in the car in Waterloo, like
for an hour or whatever.
San Martin area is not the bad part of town or anything. And you were just like, I'm not going to do it. So they let you come in. That was it. And you filmed it. That was very good.
Totally worth it.
Yeah, it was. Well, guys, that's all I got for you. That's all me and Bridget got. I hope as we head into Memorial Day weekend, I hope this kind of, well, I guess we're already into it, but I hope this enhances your enjoyment of Memorial Day weekend. We covered it all in this episode. Love your country. Be educated on the issues. Then take your stance, not the other way around. Know what you believe and why you believe it. I recommend the main source being the inerrant Word of God. Protect your kids and take time to laugh and enjoy life. You know, I hope you enjoyed this episode with my special guest, my firstborn, Bridget, and soon to be, I guess it'd be Bridget Shares. Wow, that's weird to say that. Enjoy this holiday weekend, guys, and be sure to take some time, give thanks for all those who've paid the ultimate price while serving our country. And, you know, let's explain it to our kids, too, so we're bringing up the next generation with that same appreciation for the sacrifice that others have made. Jesus said in John 15:13, he said, greater love has no one than this, that one laid down his life for his friends. And I want to remind you once again, if things aren't looking good in your life, if you're in search of some good news, some hope, you know where I'm going to tell you. I'm going to point you up. We got to look up. If you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, be sure to follow this and leave a 5-star review. If you're on YouTube, subscribe. Hit that subscribe button. Like it. Leave a thumbs up. Leave a comment. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram for more information, insights, wisdom. We're always doing giveaways. Who doesn't like free stuff? And I know you want one of our shirts. Somebody in the office asked me the other day, well, do we have to win it or can we just buy stuff? It's like, oh my goodness, haven't told people, like, you can buy shirts, you can buy hats, you can buy mugs. Absolutely. But then once you follow us on social media, share it on your social media. Guys, we are growing. Get in on it now. Be a part of it. I welcome feedback, even though Sarah says I don't take constructive criticism very well. I have to say it, that I will take your feedback, questions, comments, concerns, future topics, future guests. You can send me an email at whatisappodcast@gmail.com. I'll answer it. I will answer you. Thank you guys so much for listening. I really hope today's episode encouraged you. Stay tuned for more awesome episodes with great guests that I'm sure you will love. I got a lot of good stuff in the works right now. My goodness, I'm burning it at both ends here. You will want, well, I'm not going to guarantee you will want, but do you want a taste of what's coming in the near future on the What Is Up podcast? Well, here you go. We got guests including a young man who has survived major family childhood trauma and is now channeling his efforts into being a kickboxing champion. Yeah, he's a local kid. Everyone knows who he is, and it's going to be a great episode. I will tell you that. Here, I'm trying to encourage other people. This kid encouraged me. I also got one of the most talented musicians in Northeast Iowa. He's going to come on. He's going to share about his life with you and some of his new music with you, and that will be our first Zoom episode. Oh, yeah, that's right. We're big time. Yeah, we did a Zoom episode. I got a couple young kids, local kids. They're going to come on here, and they're going to kick off their summer break right here on the What Is Up podcast. That is going to be a fun episode right there with a little bit of serious talk. We're going to get into that Harrison Butker speech with those guys. And then our second Fairbank dad, who wrenches on all you guys that have those UTVs around town here in Fairbank. Yeah, he works at the shop up there too. He's the one that fixes all your stuff. So, and then I got a couple parents. One who used to be pro-choice, and they are living through the reality right now of raising a special needs kid, and they said they wouldn't change it for a thing because it's made them better human beings. Don't miss any of these episodes coming up. Be sure to tell your friends about the best new podcast on the market. Thanks for listening. Lord willing, I'll talk to you on the next one.